Hello, everyone. My name is Gina Folk, and as promised from the vision board video that Dr. Pulley and I did in early January, this is the follow-on to actually go through the logistics and the steps to put your vision board together. Now, in that first recording, Dr. Pulley and I encouraged you to go ahead and use your practice, your spiritual practice of meditation, focused meditation, stillness and silence, and journaling to really connect with that spirit inside of you, that side of you, that part of you that has your deepest desires and the vision that God desires for you, and those plans that are uniquely yours, and that God knew even before you were formed in the womb. And as kingdom citizens, students of truth, we also understand that we were part of that co-creation, and part of our journey here on this earth is to remember and reconnect with that plan and that vision that God had for our lives. And one of the ways we do this is by each year creating a vision board, because we know visualization is an extremely powerful practice. And a vision board is just one way to do that. So by now, we hope that you had taken the time to do the stillness and silence and your focused meditation to ask God what it is that, God desires for you to do in 2022. Hey, listen to that, what God desires for you to do in 2022. But it's not just what you're going to do. It's really to consider who you desire to be, what you desire to do, and what you desire to have possibly. And to really consider it in all the areas of your life, your health, your harmony in relationships, and your wealth. And let's remember that if you haven't done that, you're not behind. It's all good. You can go back and do this at any time. The beginning of the year is just a great time to do it because it starts the year off right. I don't make New Year's resolutions anymore. I think I did that when I was a kid. But what I found is that when I see things on paper and I take the time not to just come up with a resolution off the cuff, I take the time to really connect with God and ask my higher self, that part of me, that divine potential in me, what is the vision for this year for me? It's way more powerful in manifesting. It's almost like that's the accelerant, because God's like, yes, you're finally hearing our plans for you. Please, let's do this. And so for me, I'm very much of a visual person. So vision boards really resonate with me a lot. And we know also from our first training, the first video that Dr. Pulley and I did together, that there's multiple ways that you can have a vision board. You can put it together. So Dr. Pulley loves to do it what I'll call the old-fashioned way, the tactical. It's really not old-fashioned. It's really the first way that it was done. And that's a very tactile and tangible form of a vision board. So if that's you, if you like to have the touch, to be able to touch and feel it, then I would definitely recommend that you put the traditional old-fashioned vision board together. And basically that means go to your favorite store, Dollar Tree. You can find poster board at Dollar Tree, which is now $1.25. Thanks be to God. And get that piece of poster board. Get magazines if you have them. Now, I have moved away from those physical, tangible vision boards because I don't have magazines. And I also found that when I created those vision boards, they weren't as easy for me to look at because just of how I spend my time and how I spend the most of my days. So I moved to more of a digital vision board, which I'm going to give you the tactics of, because not everybody knows how to put one of those together. But if you're comfortable and you have a good place to put a vision board, a physical vision board that you see every day, perhaps on your bathroom mirror, maybe on your refrigerator, wherever it is that you're going to be able to see it every day, then go with that. This is not about doing it my way. This is about doing it the way that you're going to use and that's going to be the most powerful for you. The other thing I will say is if you whatever, like I found myself and didn't have magazines, but you still desire to do that physical board, you can use the same technique that I use to go find my images for my digital board and print them off, because you can take images off of the internet and print them off and put them onto that board. Because I really found myself not being able to find magazines. It's amazing. I just don't read magazines. And you can find them at the library, but finding the right ones that resonated with me wasn't always easy. And sometimes there's a charge for them when you want to take those magazines. Some people have figured it out, at least in Florida, they have, that they can charge you money because people like to have those magazines for vision boards. So if you choose to do that, simple poster board, pictures, glue, scissors, put it all together, put it at a place you're going to see all the time. Today is all about teaching you how to do a digital vision board. This is the way I use it. I kind of showed you a little bit what my vision board from last year looked like, but since that time, I have now put together my digital vision board, which I will share with each of you as I go through this process. So the first thing I did after I went through my process of really doing the stillness and the silence, clearing that pathway for me to be able to hear what God has for me, the visions that God and I co-created before my birth, when I was in the womb, or even before I was in the womb, what that vision was for us. And then I put those in my journal, and then I went back to my journal, and I'm going to start sharing my screen now. And I created a list of all those things that I heard, that I wrote down in my journal. And this year I did something a little bit different because Dr. Pulley inspired me with his vision boards by putting the scriptures, denials, affirmations, by peppering in more of our spiritual practices and those things in our spiritual toolbox, because I'm ready. I'm ready to use them in a different way. But this is your vision board, so you can choose to, put them on there or not. It just depends on where you are right at this moment in your consciousness. One's not better than the other. It is what serves you the most. So I went through and I put on all the different, just in a Word document, or you can put it on a piece of paper. For me, I use the computer a lot, so I used the Word document for this. But you can see these are all the things that I came up with that said, okay, these are all the things that I desire to go look for images for, because I needed to get them, capture them for me on a piece of paper tangibly, so I could kind of have time to percolate what kind of image I would be looking for. And quite frankly, I think that, when I was clear what I desired to find an image for, I was divinely led to get those images. I'm not going to go through all of these, but you can see I made a list of various things, because I'm going to show you exactly how I went from this list to my digital vision board. So I first then opened up a PowerPoint document, and you're basically going to get, well, when I do this, you're going to get a preview to my completed vision board, but I'm going to open up a new PowerPoint, and you can do this on Word. I know not everybody has some of the, Microsoft products, so you can do this in whatever product you have, and some people have a Mac. So wherever you are, you can use whichever one is the equivalent of PowerPoint. I use PowerPoint because I like the way it lays out. You can also do this in Word or Pages, or if you're, a designer, use Publisher, whatever works for you. But I happen to use, I go fairly rudimentary and use PowerPoint. And I open up a new blank presentation, and then I basically take off everything on here, because I desire to start with a clean white sheet. So here's my clean white sheet. Then I went to handy dandy Google, and I went back to my sheet and I said, okay, I'm going to put in this. I'm going to copy and paste, or you can type back into Google. It just kind of depends on what kind of mood you're in. And here it is. So then there's the scripture, but I always go here into the images because if you don't know this, look, I didn't know this for a long time. You can go into Google under images and put what you're searching for, and you'll get all kinds of ideas. And so then I just kind of went through and said, oh, which of these resonate with me? Which one stands out to me? Which one makes me feel this vision, this scripture? Which one is the one that's gonna draw my attention to it? And so I landed on one, and sometimes I may not. There it is. I landed on this one right here because for me, this just represented, no, not that one. It's one that looks like that, and you'll see it on my vision board. But you just read through, look at all of them, make sure that the words that are on there resonate with you. And then when you find it, so let's just say for purposes of demonstration, when you find it, let's just say we picked this one, then you can, the way I do this is I right click on the picture, which means on your mouse, click the little part on the right, and you do copy image, and then you go into whatever document you're using on your computer, and you just do however you do it. I know the commands now, but if you would like to do paste, here's paste, and you paste it. And then just go through and paste every single thing. Now, let me say this. Obviously, there are some of these things like my denials and affirmations that aren't going to be out there. So if you have words that are good for you and you can't find them in the form that you want in an image, you may have to create your own. And in Word and PowerPoint, it's really easy. You just go in here and you say insert text box, and then you can type text. And so if I put in here, I release the power of I am not enough. And then you just start playing around with it. Don't hesitate to play around with it. You can change colors. Like I changed all my word colors for the most part to the color that I've chosen for this year, which is blue. It's actually a royal blue, so I kind of went to this. And then I bolded it. You can just play. This is where you just get to play. You'll be divinely guided to do exactly what you're supposed to do. So that's what you do. Go and find as many images as you want of those things that you desire to be, those images that represent who you desire to be, what you desire to do, and what you desire to have. So once you do that, then you start arranging it. And you can see when I give you mine, I mean, to arrange things in PowerPoint, you just click on the image, move them around, whatever you desire to do. Then I'm going to then show you what your finished product will look like. So let's go here. So once you go through the process of finding all of your pictures, designing the words that you like, I added a background to my PowerPoint background, and there's ways to do that. You can always Google's your friend, how do I add a background to PowerPoint? And let's be real, if you have challenges, just email me at glfolk, I had to remember which email, glfolk1@gmail.com, and we can set up some time. I can kind of walk you through it potentially. But this kind of digital board is only for people that are comfortable with technology. I'm going to give you a hint on another digital board that you can do. But this one, you kind of have to be comfortable enough with PowerPoint and the technology of PowerPoint. And we're all at different levels. As I say, one's not better than the other. Pick the one that works for you. The vision board that's the powerful one is the one that works for you in the manner that you feel comfortable creating it. So I want to continue to encourage that, because this is when the junk of comparison, I don't know how, I don't do it the right way, all that junk we've been talking about getting rid of for the last several weeks. This is when that stuff can creep in, because you can be like, oh, I don't know how to do that. That's too overwhelming for me. Okay, don't do it then. do the vision board that you're comfortable doing. You can still do the step of getting the images on Google and then printing them off on a printer and then paste them onto a poster board. There's lots of ways to do it. Oh, I even saw there's a couple of artists in our group. People like, I know that certain people have, our ability to do calligraphy. There's other artists. So if you desire to paint your vision board, that's beautiful too. I do not have that particular talent. That's my mother's talent. That's not my talent. So I tend to go to those things that I can do, right? So this isn't about comparison. It's not about competition. But I tell you, I bet some junk will come up for some of us when we start seeing how I do it or how Dr. Pulley did it. I mean, I can't remember the first time that I saw Dr. Pulley's vision board, like when I started working with him. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's so good at that. And mine looks so terrible. I mean, I started doing like the whole judgy thing on myself. And then, finally over time, as my consciousness raised, I realized, Gina, it's okay to do it your way. You don't have to do it like anybody else. The only failure is not doing it. And if you only have a couple of visions, I think my other thing, that competitive side of me came out, because he had all this stuff and I'm like, oh, I gotta match every single thing he's got on there, and his is full and mine wasn't that full. This is between you and God. This is for your growth and nobody else's, right? This is for you to continue to build that muscle in that knowing that you can co-create the life you desire and deserve with God. This is not about comparison or competition or confusion. All that junk's going to pop up. You can just say, thank you so much for popping up. And I'm going to do what is comfortable and what I'm confident doing. See what I did? I give you a bunch of C's there. So anyway, little nuggets there for you. So let me share this. So this is my vision board for 2022. And I will share a little bit about what each of these means to me and what I have done with this. So you can see my denial is I release the power of not enough, because that power of not enough creeps into me at the most inopportune times. And so I'm just going to declare that in 2022, I'm releasing that power, because I'm affirming I am more than enough and overflow with love. And my feature scripture in the picture that I chose is like this victory, yes. And it reminds me that I am the light. But by the grace of God, I am what I am. And his grace to me has not been ineffective. And that's my reminder that God designed me uniquely, exactly the way I am, to fulfill on my divine perfection and my divine purpose, and to live in that divine perfection and purpose. Then you can see that my color is blue, which represents calm, trust, and intelligence. It's also a color of faith, which just, as an aside, I bought a new car this year, actually the end of last year on New Year's Eve, and she's royal blue, and I called her Faith. So just so you know how my life works, I integrate these principles into everything I do now. You can call me obsessed if you want to. Let's see. Dr. Pulley and I have on our vision board that we're going to do, well, you kind of heard us announce it at the Burning Bowl, the New Dawn service. We have a desire to actually go ahead and do a podcast that we've been talking about for probably 3 or 4 years, where we're teaching the kingdom, the kingdom message, the principles, the practices, and the promises. And we were talking about it, it's going to teach people how to connect to that spirit, that spirit inside of them and us. And these are going to be all the teachings and all the learnings, and probably most of my experience with growing into kingdom, and how Dr. Pulley grew as well. And we're calling it, our working name for it right now is All True and No Woo, because oftentimes when you hear spirituality, people think, oh, it's so woo. So we're going to create and craft and record that podcast and syndicate it sometime in 2022. just so we can share it with the world. That podcast has a distinct audience. It has an audience. Of course, anybody that is part of our community already, we would love to have you be part of that audience. And we are now broadening into taking the kingdom message to the world to draw them in, because I have a strong belief that this world is ready for these kingdom messages, and we're going to put it out there, and God's going to do what God does with it. I have the globe because I desire to travel the world again. I have been on hiatus because of some of the travel restrictions because of the pandemic, and this year no more. I'm declaring I have 2 international trips that I will be taking this year. So that is on my vision board. My word for the year is be you till full. Some of you may have heard me use that word in a message that I did, or a workshop that we did in Kotech. And this year I'm actually stepping into that word. Actually, my word starts out as be you in 22. And then it really is, be you till full, because I like to rhyme my words, kind of just that way. So that's my word of the year. Reminds me to be me till I'm full. And then when I'm full, I can overflow into everyone else. And then I put this picture, you'll see the picture that says I am, and it has a picture of money in the background. I did that because for me, money has always been the focus, like being in business, get the money, get the money, get the money. And what I've recognized over the last several years is that that's not the lesson God's trying to teach me. God's saying, no, Gina, you are the money. When you show up as you are the money. And that's where the money's coming from. So I'm put that there to remind me that I am the money. And also I am consciousness is the money that will then lead to, the health, the harmony, which then leads to wealth. I have keep calm. God is my source. This is my year of trusting and really remembering that God is my source, that my actions are a vessel for God's work. So that's something that I am really, really tapping into this year. I put in there getting paid to speak. So I have a desire to get at least one speaking gig, but for none of them to be, for more than one to be over $1,000 or more. My song of the year is Free to Be Me by Francesca Battistelli. I love her. So that's my song. She's a Christian. If y'all haven't heard her, she's a Christian singer. She's the one that sings that Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. You want to listen to her version, not mine. That Dr. Pulley loves so much. That's who that is originally. She's the songwriter of that. And then this little kid up there sleeping, that's so I can sleep like a child, because I have a desire to get uninterrupted deep sleep. So that reminds me of that. Then the quote there is something that I'm reminding myself. You may or may not know my divine purpose and word is cultivate. So this is a reminder to me that as I cultivate peace and happiness in myself, I also nourish peace and happiness in those we love. And so that's reminding me that I am here to cultivate peace in any of the family challenges that we have this year with the health of, my loving father, my natural, my earthly father. And then you'll see my affirmation. I am more than enough and overflow with love, which we already talked about. And then I am actually at a place now where I'm open and receptive to bringing on new clients who will bring in over $5K a month each. So I've added that to my vision board. So you can see, y'all have one on here that I have been not wanting to fulfill for the last, 5 years. God told me 5 years ago, probably 6 or 7 years ago, that I was to write this book called Lead with Love. And I've been putting it off, and I've been coming up with all these other books. Maybe let me write Lead with Spirit. Let me write How to Be a Genuine Leader. Let me write, I've come up with everything. And God's like, nope, that's not it. The book you're supposed to write is Lead with Love. So That's on my vision board for 2022. And you know how I know it is? Because I put another book title on my vision board last year and that just didn't happen. So God's like, yep, that you thought you were getting out of that one, Gina, but nope, not doing it. So, and I was guided to put a bestseller on there. So, but you see how my little lower self my human self wants to not do that. Anyway, so then you create this board in whatever fashion you desire. You've put it on your, and I'm going to continue on the digital. So you create it on your digital, you save it. And then I actually make it my screensaver. So you can actually save this. You can hit save a copy and you can put it as a JPEG or PNG, either one works, and you save it to your desktop. And that's it. So now I'm going to show you what the next part I did was, and that is, voila, that's my desktop. Now, for those of you that may, and the reason, let me tell you why. The reason I put it on my desktop is one of the first things after and it depends on what day it is, but after I do my wake up and do my quiet time, listen to daily download, do my journaling, all that stuff, then the next thing I do is turn on my computer. So like after I've gone through that stuff, the next thing I do is get on my computer to kind of get myself ready for the day. I am on the computer because of what I do much of the day. So every time I come in and out of a document, this is on my screen. So if you desire to do that, and you can see here, when you save it to your desktop, you're going to have, and I saved mine as a PNG, you're going to have a PNG file. And then you just go onto your desktop, you right click on your desktop, and you've got personalize here, depending on what kind of computer you have. I have a computer that works on Windows. And then you choose the picture. Then you just choose this. This is my vision board. And then it puts it onto your background. So, you know, in summary, what I like to do is remind you to pick whichever vision board mechanism works the best for you. That's the one that you're going to use the most. If it's digital and you're savvy with technology, I just kind of gave you some tips on that. If you want to make it digital and you're not as savvy in PowerPoint, just get your images off of Google. Then you can take a picture of whatever you physically create and upload that to your computer. You can put it on your phone. I haven't done that yet, but I'm going to put mine on my phone, like as my background on my phone. I have to see if that'll actually work because it's a landscape one instead of, you know, vertical. So I'll have to see what it looks like. It might crop it off. But wherever you're gonna see it the most, this is the part of visualization is keeping it top of mind. Because when you keep it top of mind, you actually your brain will actually start seeing the images of you doing those things in your brain. And then when your brain sees it, your eyes see it, your brain processes it, your brain then sees it, and then you start to be it and start to do it. So you can have those things that you're looking for. So I hope this has served you well. Like I said, if you have any challenges whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me on email. I love to help people do this because it is such an important practice. And I just encourage you all to take, if this resonates with you, if there's something inside of you that says, "Ooh, I want to do that," then do it. Do it. If it doesn't, okay, this is just one of our spiritual tools in our spiritual toolbox that helps, helps you grow in consciousness and align that soul with the spirit that you are. So for now, that's all I got to share. I love each and every one of you so much, and I look forward to seeing and hearing about your vision boards and hearing how they manifest for you as the year goes on. Mwah. Bye.